Today, we are going to untangle a really complex web of alleged public corruption, and it's all happening in Rutherford County, Tennessee. We're going to follow the money, look at the key players, and break down the potential crimes, all based on a pretty detailed legal analysis of the whole situation.
But let's just start with a question that gets right to the heart of the story. What happens when an organization that's supposed to be serving the public, one that's getting your tax money, doesn't actually exist on paper? And I'm not kidding, that's not a riddle. It's the strange discovery that kicked this whole thing off.
So yeah, that strange discovery of a non-existent organization, that's exactly where we're going to start. Let's just call it what it is, a ghost organization.
You know, every story like this has a beginning, right? There's always that one single thread that when you pull on it, the whole thing starts to unravel. Well, in this case, that thread was pulled by one man, Rutherford County's own assessor, Rob Mitchell. His job is to assess property, but it turns out he ended up assessing a whole lot more.
So Assessor Mitchell started digging into this group called TNAOO. That's the Tennessee Association of Assessing Officers. Now, this organization was getting public funds, but when he went to check their official status with the Secretary of State, he found a huge red flag. They were listed as administratively dissolved.
So what does that even mean, right? Administratively dissolved isn't just some fancy term for being a little disorganized. It's a real legal status. It means the group failed to do the basic things the state requires, like filing reports or paying fees. And here's the crucial part. It means they can no longer legally conduct business. And yet, this one was still getting paid with your money.
Discovering a ghost organization is one thing, but man, the story gets so much bigger when you actually start to follow the money. And that's where we see how this whole thing spiraled into something way more complex.
Mitchell did exactly what you'd hope an official would do. He took what he found and went straight to the top financial office in the entire state, the Tennessee State Comptroller. I mean, this is the office whose whole job is to audit the government and make sure taxpayer money is spent correctly.
Okay, so let's just walk through this for a second. Mitchell makes a discovery, and he reports it all the way up the chain. But here's the twist, and it is a big one. Instead of stopping the payments, the comptroller's office, again, the state's top financial watchdog, allegedly kept on certifying and sending money to this dissolved ghost organization. They were warned, they knew about it, and yet the payments just kept flowing.
So that decision by the comptroller's office? Well, it blows the whole thing wide open, leading right back to this tangled web of players right there in Rutherford County itself. And right in the middle of this web, we find three key people. First, you've got Mayor Joe Carr, who is alleged to have used county resources, employees, equipment for his private honey farm. Then there's a county lobbyist who, and get this, also just happens to be the director of that ghost organization, TNAO. And finally, the state comptroller, the official who allegedly kept the money flowing to them. You see how interconnected this all is? The very same guy running the phantom organization that's getting improper payments was also allegedly hired by the mayor to cook up a strategy to discredit Assessor Mitchell, the guy who found the whole thing in the first place. It's like an alleged cover-up layered right on top of the original problem.
With a web this tangled, it's really no surprise that the legal analysis points to a long, and I mean long, and serious list of potential charges.
Just at the state level, we're talking about serious felonies. Things like official misconduct, bribery, and embezzlement, which could carry a sentence of up to 20 years. These are not just slaps on the wrist. We're talking about potentially life-altering crimes.
And it doesn't stop there. Because of how these allegations are structured, this case could very easily jump to the federal level. Now we're looking at potential charges like bribery of a public official, wire fraud, and something called Hobbs Act extortion.
So what in the world is Hobbs Act extortion? Well, it's a really powerful tool federal prosecutors use to go after public corruption. Basically, it means using your official power to get something you have no right to, and it doesn't have to be cash. The legal analysis here suggests that in this case, it could be the mayor getting the lobbyist services to try and silence a political opponent.
20 years. Just let that number sink in. That's the maximum federal prison time for a single count of Hobbs Act extortion or wire fraud. And in cases like this, the charges can be stacked, one right on top of the other. The potential consequences here are just staggering.
So with all these allegations and potential charges just sitting there on the table, the obvious question is, what happens now?
Well, the legal memos lay out a really clear path for investigators. First, preserve all the evidence, emails, texts, documents, then do a deep forensic audit to trace every penny. After that, subpoena all the records from the comptroller's office, and finally, hand the whole file over to federal prosecutors.
And the potential fallout for everyone involved is just severe. We're talking about the possibility of serious prison time, thousands of dollars in civil fines, being permanently banned from ever holding public office again, and being forced to pay back every single cent of misused public money.
And all of that brings us to our final question. Look, this whole explainer has been about one specific case in one county. But the theme here is universal. When the very people who are elected and appointed to serve the public are alleged to have broken that trust so profoundly, what does it actually take to rebuild it? That's really something to think about.